The longest-running off-road and action motorsports radio show on the planet is coming to you live with the biggest guest in motorsports. Here is the only man on the planet who can pack this much dirt slinging and tire slaying into 2 hours a week. Sit back, strap in, and be prepared to get your ears blown. Here is Jim Beaver and the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris Razor.
Welcome to this week's Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris Razor. Jim Beaver here, locked and loaded for episode number 401. Yes, that's right. We have clipped the 400 mark. Hopefully, those of you who had the opportunity went and listened last week. It's available on iTunes and the website right about now. But we had Travis Pastrana and Rutledge Wood on with some long-form interview style with those two, and it was one hell of a good time. So hopefully you guys were able to catch that. If you haven't, it is definitely one. Put on the phone. I was going to say put on the iPod. iPods, I don't even know if those are a thing anymore, but definitely earmark that one for later. You don't want to miss it. It was probably the most fun I've had on a show in a very, very long time. But this week, man, it is we got a lot to catch up on. Went long form in the interviews, so we got one guest today, actually a couple of guests, but one actual race car driver. We got my good friend Alexander Rossi. He is competing for Andretti Autosport in that big IndyCar finale coming up this weekend, and definitely catching up with Alexander. Looking forward to having him on the show today. I think you guys are definitely not going to want to miss that one. Always fun. That's coming up in hour number 2. Also got Power Rankings, and I got to tell you, we got a lot to cover with Chris Leone and I in Power Rankings. And then we've got my good friend Tiffany Stone. She was out on site at the ARA Rally STPR. We also talk about upcoming SEMA show and probably a little bit of the Area 51 takeover, and a whole lot of other stuff happening. You never know where the hell that conversation is going to go when I got T-Stone on the show. So stoked to have her on as well. I will be talking about that IndyCar finale and about everything else happening in the world of motorsports. Do want to give a shout out to my podcast over there, Project Action on Podcast One. Last week did a big interview with Jim Beaver. Yes, the other Jim Beaver, the actor, the famous celebrity. Make sure and hit that one up if you haven't already. It was a really, really good show. Numbers are insane for that, and I am looking forward to having you guys hear it and get the feedback. Also on the off-road edition this week, we've got Matt Martelli dissecting all things sand sport and the big announcements coming out of that. So today, though, it is Alexander Rossi, Power Rankings, and a whole lot more right here on this week's edition of the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris Razor. Don't go anywhere. You want extreme performance, reliability, and the most fun you can have on four wheels? The Polaris Razor brings it to you. But you don't need to take my word for it. You can take theirs.
I'm Tanner Faust, and I choose the Polaris Razor because it's the most fun you can have with a steering wheel.
What's up? I'm Ronnie Renner, and I choose Polaris Razor because it's the sickest, most reliable side-by-side on the planet.
What's up, everybody? Heavy D from Diesel Brothers. Listen, I'm on Team Razor because it's hands down the best piece of machinery on the planet.
I'm RJ Anderson, and I choose Polaris Razor because it's the most fun, most capable machine.
Action sports stars, TV personalities, and some of the best race car drivers in the world all choose Polaris Razor because it's the ultimate combination of power, suspension, agility, and fun. Find out more information on the web at PolarisRazor.com or follow at Polaris Razor on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and use the hashtag RazorLife to share your story.
Ford WP is more than a store. We're truck and Jeep experts and have been for over 50 years. From wheel and tire upgrades to full custom builds, Ford WP has you covered. Whether you want to order the best parts online or shop in store, do the work yourself, or get it done by a pro, all roads lead to Ford WP. Do your rig right. Shop online or find your store at FordWP.com.
For 100 years, General Tire has provided tires for your lifestyle, your adventure, your anywhere. Born from competition, the Grabber tire offers the durability and off-road traction you demand in a tire. We put these tires to the test in the harshest off-road racing conditions to give you a tire that will make your anywhere possible. So let us take you on your next big adventure. Tweet us photos at General Tire, hashtag anywhere is possible. Because with General Tire, anywhere is possible. When looking for a new wheel for your off-road vehicle, car, truck, or UTV, the choice is easy. You choose what the pros use. Rob McCachran, Keegan Kincaid, and myself, Jim Beaver, all exclusively use Vision Wheel, whether we're dominating Baja, taking the cup at Crandon, or shredding UTVs. Vision Wheel's trend-setting designs and durability will set you apart from the competition and your friends. Check out visionwheel.com or @VisionWheel on social media to learn more. Super ATV is the industry leader in aftermarket UTV and ATV parts and accessories. Super ATV products are designed, engineered, tested, and manufactured right here by Super ATV. Whether you're looking to upgrade your suspension, get stronger axles, or you're looking for a new winch to get you out of a tough spot, Super ATV has what you're looking for. And since we know you're in a hurry, we offer fast, free shipping to the lower 48 states on all orders. Visit superatv.com now and get your UTV or ATV dialed in.
Like what you hear? Catch all the back episodes of the Down and Dirty Radio Show on Apple Podcast, and be sure to rate, review, and subscribe.
Oh man, that was a hell of a ride. Go check out mymedic.com for the best first aid kits on the planet and save 15% with discount code Jim Beaver. Again, mymedic.com, discount code Jim Beaver, and save 15%. It's cheaper than a funeral.
Welcome back to the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris Razor. Jim Beaver here with episode number 401, and we're getting things rolling today. Once again, Alexander Rossi, Power Rankings, Tiffany Stone, and a whole lot more. We'll also have a Dirtfish Rally report thrown in this week. But yeah, you know, it's... I guess I haven't had a real good chance to kind of, just kind of open things up the way we used to, and been all kinds of stuff going on. I know I'm crazy right now. It's a silly season in motorsports where I'm trying to figure out if I'm racing, doing radio and podcasting next year. Obviously we are, but you know, getting sponsors lined up, partners, figuring out what events we're going to be at, and all kinds of other stuff. And you know, this month of September has been really interesting for me. I've actually been in Parker at home for almost like a month since Crandon. Like, I haven't left, which has been amazing. And, this past weekend, or not this past weekend, what am I talking about? Yesterday, I had the opportunity. My daughter, she's in this, we've talked about her before. She runs razors, does gymnastics, does a whole bunch of stuff. But she's also in this thing, which I find really interesting in schools now. It's called Lego League. And a lot of people are like, what? The kids build Legos? No, it's actually a robotics competition that Lego sponsors. It's actually pretty insane, right? They program and code these robots. They build these robots. They do all these things, and they have like these statewide competitions. Like, it's a legit deal. And I think it's really interesting. We're at a point in time where robotics and science and technology are actually treated the same as sports in schools. And, she likes to do a little bit of everything like I did, and, really fortunate of that. But, kind of, sunk in. So the Arizona Diamondbacks, and I've got a motorsports tie-in here. I'm telling you people, just bear with me, right? But Arizona Diamondbacks invited all the state, the kids in the state that are part of this, they call it STEM, science and technology, and I don't know the whole acronym, but you get the point. So Diamondbacks invited all these schools with these teams down there to Chase Field. I almost called it Bank One Ballpark, but down to Chase Field, and where the Diamondbacks play, and it invited them all down for like 3 hours. They gave this kind of this thing on the science of baseball and all the mathematics that go into it, and I found it absolutely amazing. And then they had some other activities and stuff like that. It was a good time for the kids. But I guess my motorsports tie-in here, why I'm telling you all this, is like I'm sitting there and I'm listening to this, and then they started talking about numbers and how many people, Chase Field actually holds. And, they're talking about 50,000 people showed up to this game earlier in the year, broke the record. It's 50+ thousand. I don't know exact numbers. And I started thinking about that. And I'm like, what I find absolutely kind of crazy in this day and age is that, us in motorsports, we're in our like little bubble, right? And, we think we deserve to be treated like NFL, and what's the deal? Motorsports, we need partners, we need sponsors. This is the greatest thing ever. And like, I'm sitting there and I'm looking around this entire arena, right? And, or this entire baseball park. And, they say 50,000 people went through the gates at Crandon. Crandon, let's be honest, we're all going to call a spade here. It is the biggest off-road race in the country, right? So 50+ thousand people over the weekend. So you figure maybe 25, 30,000 people on a good day, right? Went through there. And then you start looking at a stadium that holds 50,000 people, and Diamondbacks play 162 games a year. Half of those are played there in that stadium, right? So on any given weeknight, they're not going to pack it with 50,000 people, but you might get 30, 35,000 people show up, right? And, Yankees are in town or Red Sox, it might bump up a little bit, Dodgers. But I started thinking about that. I'm like, we want all these corporate sponsors in motorsport and things like that, but you look around there and you've got all these, tire companies and auto, Ford and stuff like that all over this stadium, and people we want that in off-road. And I start thinking about it. I'm like, I get it. Like, everybody goes, well, how come they'll sponsor baseball? That's stupid. They should sponsor racing. And I'm like, you start looking around there. They've got amazing TV, but they've got, on any given day, 30,000 people on a Wednesday night show up to watch the Diamondbacks play, the Colorado Rockies or somebody like that. Like, that's mind-blowing to me, right? Because, our biggest, best event of the year draws that many people, for the event, right? Baseball does that on a daily basis. I think we all like to think in motorsport we're bigger than we actually are. But, you start looking at baseball and TV ratings and on-site attendance and things like that, I get it. The activations you can do and things like that little logo on the outfield wall, why would you sponsor an off-road truck? You're going to get way more eyeballs. You're going to be able to activate with those people. You start looking at it, and I start thinking about how small we are in motorsport. And, man, we've come a long way. Live streaming and things like that, But even that, we live stream an event, and we go, we had 100,000 people tune into the live stream. That's insane. That's a horrible night for the Arizona Diamondbacks, who aren't a big market team. I mean, Phoenix is a big market, but you start talking Dodgers, Yankees, in TV ratings, those are crazy, but you start thinking about that, and, they can do that in their sleep. It's really, you start looking and comparing motorsport to stick and ball sports, and you realize how small we actually are. And I'm not saying that as a bad thing. I'm just saying that a lot of people in motorsport have these, what do they call these ideas of grandeur, or we think we're much bigger and we're more powerful than we actually are. And even NASCAR, who is the juggernaut of racing, and we know they've had struggles lately. We can talk about the positives in NHRA and IndyCar and their upswing, but you even look at that, and even NASCAR is so small in comparison to Major League Baseball or the NFL. And I get it, and I think us as people in the racing community, whether you're a media person, whether you're a fan, whether you're a race team owner or a marketer or an agent or a whatever, I think once we realize that and it sets in, and us as fans, I think we have these massive expectations, of things that IndyCar, NASCAR, and things like that should do, and it's just not financially possible. Because when you go to a baseball stadium, and keep in mind, Diamondbacks are playing there, and we've got 30,000 people on a Wednesday night, there's another 15 teams, our stadium's full on that any given night with the same amount of people and their own TV. You got to realize how small we are. And once you do that, us as fans, we can set our expectations right. Us as race car drivers, knowing the series that we're in and the TV package we have, be thankful for what we have, but we can approach things right. I think the series can as well, and I think that, I've been guilty of this too. We think we are so big and we're this unstoppable force, and we're entitled to these dollars, and we're entitled to these TV packages, and we're awesome. What we're doing is badass. These people should be lining up at the door, when the fact of the matter is we're not. We're a lot smaller than we actually, than we think we are. And once we literally come to that realization, I think that's when we can actually move forward, put our best foot forward, because then we really know what we can offer, and I think, when we continue like we have been to, think we are just this massive, unstoppable force and everybody should be jumping on board, I think that's, that's our biggest problem, both as fans, race team owners, media, everything else. I think we really need to set our expectations right, and we haven't in the past. And I don't know. It was really interesting being there and hearing these crazy statistics that the Arizona Diamondbacks were throwing out as far as fans and media reach and things like that. And I started thinking, I'm like, man, I get it now. Like, I understand. And I think, the sooner fans and everybody else involved in motorsport and the racing community gets that, I think that's when we're really going to move forward. And we've been making massive inroads. But I think there's still a whole lot more we can do. We just got to know, what we're playing with and approach things right. So I guess rant over. We're going to have Tiffany Stone on the line. We'll return here to the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris Razor. Are you looking for a place to push yourself behind the wheel and see how your driving skills stack up? Dirtfish Rally School is that place. Located on 315 acres of pristine automotive playground at the foot of the Cascade Mountains in Snoqualmie, Washington, right outside of Seattle, Dirtfish Rally School is a one-of-a-kind place where everyone from first-time drivers to seasoned professionals like Bucky Lassick and Antoine Lestage can push themselves to their limit. Whether driving the high-performance, rally-prepped all-wheel drive Subaru Impreza STI is what you're looking for, or you'd rather hang it all out in the rear-wheel drive Subaru BRZs, Dirtfish Rally School has something for everyone. Classes are available from 2 hours to 3 full days and feature instructors with over 150 years of combined racing experience. Whether you're looking to become the best and get an edge on the competition, or just looking to freshen your skills behind the wheel, Dirtfish Rally School is the place to go. For more information on registering for classes, visit Dirtfish on the web at dirtfish.com, or to check out the latest happenings from Dirtfish, follow them on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Dirtfish Rally.
Like what you hear? Catch all the back episodes of the Down and Dirty Radio Show on Apple Podcast, and be sure to rate, review, and subscribe.
Welcome back to the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris Razor. We didn't have her last week. We had episode 400. Things went a little long with Pastrana and Rutledge, but Tiffany Stone back on the show, back to her regular shenanigans here. And I know, during the break we were talking, and T-Stone, you said you drove by a stock red Jeep and you called it cute because yours is just that much more rad, I guess. I found that whole clip just funny. You're like, it was so cute. I'm like, most people don't call a Jeep cute, but T-Stone does when she's rolling on 37s now, I guess.
Yeah, no, it was really funny. I just went to the shop, so I was hanging out at Unlimited Off-Road Centers in Fenton, and Amsoil came in. They were doing some features on me that when the whole project is done, we'll reveal that next year for 2020. But yeah, we were there, and I kind of did a whole swap on some stuff. So I went to a 3.5-inch crawler short arm kit, and then I moved up to some 37s. So it's kind of weird because I was only on 35s with a 2-inch sport lift. So when I go up to a 3.5-inch lift and move up to the BFG 37, so I still have the KM3s because I love them to begin with. So I want to do that. And then Vision wheels, still do a 17. So I'm at 37, 12.5, 17 now for my offsets on my wheels and tires. And then 3.5-inch lift. Like, it was funny watching me get into it before, but now it's even more of a little like pop up and then into it. So it's cool. And I didn't realize how much higher I was. And it is. Now that I look at a stock Jeep, I'm like, oh, that's so cute. Look how short it is.
Now you're all into this Jeep thing, you're always posting stuff you wheeling. I haven't paid attention to your Instagram comments. I probably should more. Do you get all these dudes like posting stuff like #WifeGoals, marry me, and all that stuff? Like, how many proposals do you get on a regular basis, T-Stone?
I actually don't get that many proposals. You think that I would get some proposals and stuff, but I don't get any proposals at all.
Guys are slacking out there. I just figured it seems like any time there's a girl that rides dirt bikes or she Jeeps or she races off-road, it's like instantaneously like dudes for some odd reason just like they lose their minds. I don't know what it is, but yeah, there's just something about social media where dudes lose their minds. I figured you would have had at least one proposal by now.
No proposals yet, but it is pretty funny because you are absolutely right. Anytime a female is, in a dominated male sport, it's kind of funny. And, that's exactly what it is. It's just, I've made the joke to you before, though, Jim. Remember, I'm like, I'm just a dude in a hot chick's body. Like, that's literally how I sum it up.
You talk like a dude. I will give you that. You talk like a dude.
I do talk like Well, the thing is I may talk like a dude and all these things, but I'm still a female, so don't get it twisted. I can be crazy at times, but I still have the emotional part, but the logic comes in sometimes, so that's always nice.
Yeah. See, we get the T-Stone, like the no F's given T-Stone here on the show. Like, I feel like you do all these proper podium announcements, and like, here's the T-Stone that's just like, you know, talking like a pirate and things like that. And then all of a sudden it's like, all right, podium time, flip the switch. And then you're all like prim and proper and like, hey, we're here, this and that. And then it's like, all right, back to pirate talk, T-Stone.
Pretty much that's exactly how it is. As soon as that red light goes on or somebody says 3, 2, I'm ready and set to go. You have to have a professional moment, and you have to have a professional time, and then you also need to, you know, learn and understand when to let it go. And I've done that, and there are some times though, because I am silly and goofy and stuff like that, where it'll get caught on, you know, camera. But that's really who I am. And the more that people Jim, you've hung out with me plenty of times within the last few years and stuff. I am a jokester. I make jokes. I laugh. I try to be positive about everything. And there are moments that I do get frustrated, but it's only because I don't like looking stupid. I never want to look stupid with what I'm doing. I never want to be discreditable. So as soon as it comes to work, it's on, and it's kind of like, all right, well, the camera's on. It's time to be professional, Tiffany, now.
Yeah, no, and I will say this, and this is not me like brown nosing you or anything like that, because we know we give each other a hard ass time 9 times out of 10. But you're one of those where you come into an event, and I like working with you because you make me a better talent. Like, you come in, you've got paperwork organized. I mean, Crandon, it got so much where you took my phone and you set it up. We put the Find My Friend, so we knew where each other were at the entire event. So if we needed to locate each other, we could amongst 50,000 people. Like, you put your mind to it. It's like when you're working an event, it's like you bring your A game, and it's like you raise the level of everybody around you. And that's why it's fun working with you. You know what I mean? Just because I know I'm working with somebody bringing their A game, and it's not, you know, some self-centered person that's, you know, all about them. And, you know, we'll leave that at that. But I appreciate everything you do when we're at events, T-Stone.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah. You know, like when we got a chance to hang out in the Red Barn after and stuff, talking to one of the desert drivers who came out for a Crandon race, and he was just talking to me, and I've interviewed him before, and I've done some AMSOIL After Dark with him before, and he's told me, he's like, hey, Tiffany, I just want to let you know, I really enjoy listening to you. I enjoy what you bring to the table, especially for a live stream event or any event like that. And he said, there's only 2, you know, people that I really enjoy that I could either be interviewed by all the time or talk to, and that's you and Cameron Steele. So to be put on the same level as a broadcaster as Cameron Steele or some, you know, into that capacity, it touched me a little bit, because I do work so hard to be where I'm at. And I've always said it before, you want to work in motorsports, you got to work hard. You want to be a female in motorsports, you have to work twice as hard.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. You know, that last line, I know how much work you put in and things like that. And I don't think people realize in this industry what it takes to actually make it male or female in broadcasting, you know, to get to the level you're at, or, you know, Cameron Steele, or, you know, that I've done. And it was, you know, it's one of those, like, you don't just go and say, hey, I want to do TV, or I want to, like, it's not an easy path. It's kind of crazy. Like, I think about it, you know, and how many right decisions I had to make, and how many doors I had to go through, and you know, and then get one slammed in your face and go. Like, if you think of your career path to get to this point, like, to me, it blows my mind how we were able to get where we're at, because there was so many things that had to go right for us to get to this position. It's not even silly.
No, and that's exactly what you're saying. But what people don't understand too is they don't understand how many things had to go wrong in order for us to be where it's at. People talk about that all the time. When AMSOIL was coming in to do that feature, they were asking me, Tiffany, you know, what are some words of advice, or what do things mean to you? And the one thing that I've realized, and I've started to tell people, and I don't know if I've even mentioned it to you before, but success to me, this is literally what success to me is. Success to me is somebody who has it all, who's on top, who has everything. They're riding that wave, because let's be honest, in motorsports and broadcasting and entertainment, there are waves, and to ride that wave, be up on top, lose everything, and then have to regroup, pick yourself up, and then push yourself to be at the top again, That is success to me. The simple fact is everybody can reach the first part. Everybody can have their first taste of success. But what it happens to you and what happens to that person when they lose it all and then have to rebuild themselves to be something else, that is successful to me, because that says true, speaking on your character of who you are, that you don't want to fail. You can't let yourself fail, because many people stop right then and there, and that to me is not successful.
Yeah, well, and it's funny because anybody that's in the industry like you and I talk to people and race car drivers and things like that, most people outside of us don't realize, like, we are on a year-to-year job. Like, I don't know if I have a job next year. Right now, it's looking like I'm probably going to be employed next year, which is a good thing. But, between sponsorships and announcing contracts and things like that, most people don't know you don't get a 5-year contract. I mean, they happen, but it's like an anomaly. Like, people like you and I, like, we are literally a year-to-year thing. It's like you sign with, with ARA to do that, and you do some of your whatever, but it's a year thing. So you're like, all right, so we know in 2019 I'm employed, but what about 2020? And so we spend, not only are we working, but at the same time, we're slinging our resume around trying to make sure we've got a job the next year. And that way, if one of these things, falls through, we've got a backup plan. And like, I don't think it's a crazy line of work to be in, and whether it be in broadcast or it be actually racing with sponsorships, they're both one and the same. They're year-to-year contracts, and like it's kind of, if people actually knew the stress level sometimes and not knowing that we're going to have a job next year, it's kind of like, it's crazy. I think we're a special kind of crazy, T-Stone.
We are, but then that's why we appreciate what we have. We appreciate the highs. We appreciate the lows. We understand that the lows don't come without the highs, and the highs don't come without the lows. We understand, like you said, it's a year-to-year contract pretty much. Some people, like the Pastranas out of the world, the Baldwins, the Currys, sure, maybe they do have 3, 4, 5-year contracts. But like you said, ARA, what happens if ARA goes away? Okay, what do I do next? And so it's more of being adaptive and being able to be in this. You have to be adaptive. You have to be a chameleon. And we've spoke about this, Jim. You and I are very close friends, so you know exactly what's been going on in my life. Starting at the beginning of the summer, I put my grandmother in hospice in May. She passed away in June. My cat of 16 years was put down in July. And my grandfather, who was married to my grandmother, passed August 22nd, less than 2.5 months. And I'm actually on my way driving up to his celebration of life right now. So people don't understand that we still have daily lives. We still have things that are going on. Like, my grandfather passed away at an ARA race. My cat was put down at an ARA race, but yet I still have to go do the live stream. I still have to be happy. I still have to put a smile on my face, because I learned a long time ago when when a friend of mine, he passed away, he got hit by a car. And sadly, when I was 18 years old, I also got hit by a car in Mexico. Many people don't know that. So that messed with me a little bit. It's like, why do I live and he doesn't? But then one thing that I learned the most from that is, he used to host nightclubs, and the manager, the owner of the nightclub, it was his funeral. It was that day. They didn't know if they had somebody to host the club, and all he said is, the show must go on. And it's hurtful, and it's a sad reality, but it's true. The show must go on. It's, people do care about me as my life, but I can't stop an entire race weekend just because I'm not having a good day. Yeah,
true story there, T-Stone. You know what? I'm pulling the producer card here, and I'm saying we're going 2 segments today, because we got a lot to talk about. So we are going to take a short commercial break, and when we return, Tiffany Stone and we will jump into some ARA and maybe talk about this Area 51 takeover that's happening right now. I'm Polaris rider Jim Beaver. I race trophy trucks professionally, host a Down and Dirty radio show, and also travel the country announcing motorsports events. I've seen it all, and trust me, I've done most of it, so when it comes time to relax on the weekend, nothing is better than taking time with my family in our Razor vehicles. They've got the reliability I need to just pick up and go explore the desert, dunes, or trail, and have the capability to attack even the harshest terrain. If you're looking for some of the most reliable and safest, and hands down most capable off-road machines in the world, look no further than Polaris and their award-winning lineup of RZR vehicles. Whether you want your daughter to experience off-road driving for the first time in a RZR 170 like me, take the entire family out in a RZR XP4 1000 on the weekend, or shred the desert and dunes in the all-new RZR XP 1000 Fox Edition, Polaris has you handled. Take my advice and join me and some of the best drivers in the world by driving a Polaris RZR. Check out the full Polaris RZR lineup at Polaris.com or follow them on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Polaris RZR. Anywhere is possible. It's more than just a slogan. Anywhere is possible with General Tire's wide variety of tires for whatever it is that you drive. Whether you're looking for off-road capability balanced with impressive on-road performance or ultra-high performance offering all-season traction designed with a driving enthusiast in mind, General Tire has what you need to get where you're going. General Tire, providing anywhere is possible with the Down and Dirty Radio Show since 2012. Do you race, or are you a weekend warrior? Have you checked on the date on your helmet recently? Don't get caught off guard by using an outdated helmet. Impact Racing, the leader in motorsport safety, has new SA 2015 helmets to fit your budget. Whether you're looking for a helmet with a full carbon fiber shell to take you to victory at the Indy 500, or just looking for some helmets for a weekend at Glamis, Impact Racing has a helmet for you. Find out more information at impactraceproducts.com or on Facebook at Impact Safety. When looking for a new wheel for your off-road vehicle, car, truck, or UTV, the choice is easy. You choose what the pros use. Rob McCachran, Keegan Kincaid, and myself, Jim Beaver, all exclusively use Vision Wheel, whether we're dominating Baja, taking the cup at Crandon, or shredding UTVs. Vision Wheel's trend-setting designs and durability will set you apart from the competition and your friends. Check out visionwheel.com or at Vision Wheel on social media to learn more. Super ATV is the industry leader in aftermarket UTV and ATV parts and accessories. Super ATV products are designed, engineered, tested, and manufactured right here by Super ATV. Whether you're looking to upgrade your suspension, get stronger axles, or you're looking for a new winch to get you out of a tough spot, Super ATV has what you're looking for. And since we know you're in a hurry, we offer fast, free shipping to the lower 48 states on all orders. Visit superatv.com now and get your UTV or ATV dialed in.
You're listening to the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris RZR. All killer and no filler.
Welcome back to the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris RZR. Jim Beaver and T-Stone here. And just coming back from the break, I told T-Stone we were pulling her into a second segment today because the conversation was just too damn good so far, T-Stone. But I know you were out at ARA Rally, but more importantly, people are raiding Area 51 right now. It's become like the Burning Man Part 2. Like, have you been reading on this? All the people from Burning Man now have absolutely shifted over to Rachel, Nevada, and they've got like this Burning Man 2.0 set up outside of the gates of Area 51 now. It's crazy what's going on.
No, I haven't even done that. And Jim, this is like what I was talking about. The summer got away from us that we didn't even plan our Area 51 takeover. I think that maybe we should start planning so that we could do our conspiracy podcast later on. But I'm so upset that I didn't know about that. I need to repost my photos from Roswell because I met some aliens there, and they were very friendly. So I hope it's the same type of alien.
Yeah, no, I was like, I kind of forgot about it, and then I was like, oh, this thing isn't going to happen. Like the government or somebody actually pulled it down off of Facebook, the group, and they're expecting upwards. Like they're literally all these people from Vegas. People actually showed up. I don't think they're going to raid it. It actually turned into they're calling it alien stock, like Woodstock, but for aliens. So these people actually, instead of raiding Area 51, which, let's put it this way, they're very smart, they turned it into an alien festival. They've got 3 bands that have showed up, like legit, and I don't know the bands. I just was reading, I was watching a YouTube video of Las Vegas newscast this morning, and they didn't name the bands, but I guess 3 major bands have showed up, and they're actually having like this alien festival instead of raiding Area 51, but it's at literally the Area 51 gates. But they're expecting upwards of 50,000 people to show up out there this weekend.
That's kind of exciting. I kind of want to know what bands would do it. The thing is we live in a day and age now. It's kind of like nothing surprises us. But you know what? More power to those people who don't care about what anybody is saying or doing or whatnot. If they're not harming themselves or more, specifically anybody else or any animals or anything, I don't see a problem with it. People go out to Burning Man. People go out to Glamis. People go out to the sand dunes. I don't know what's the difference, but the simple fact that they want to be around aliens. And I've never seen an alien. However, I've never not seen an alien. And I've even told you about my story before when I was in Bark River 2 years for one of the short course races, and I literally thought I saw a UFO. So I don't care if anybody thinks I'm weird because I thought I saw a UFO, but I'm not in 100% certainty to say that aliens do not exist. So I'm not going to say anything, but more power to those people for going against everybody and just doing what makes them happy.
Yeah, I will go on record and say I completely believe that aliens in some way, shape, or form, this universe is way too damn big. Like, it is way too damn big. There is something on some planet living and breathing and crawling. It may not look or think anything like what we think, but I guarantee there's some semblance of an alien out there somewhere in this, in this universe. It's just like there's no reason there can't be. But I'm just looking as we speak. You're like, I wonder what alien bands would come or what bands would go. And I started thinking, does Alien Ant Farm? Do you remember that band? They've got to still exist somewhere. And I pulled them up, and I'm like, yeah. Do you remember them at all? Like early 2000s, Tiff?
Yes, I do. Actually, I do.
Yeah, they had the Michael Jackson cover.
Yes, I think they would be there. I don't know why, but I figured like a band like Blink 182 would be there for some reason.
Blink 182, I could see that. Alien Ant Farm opening with their song "Smooth Criminal," and then Blink 182. I could see like full on. Yeah, it's a punk rock deal. Like I could see some rad punk rock band showing up or something like that, but. I don't know. No, it's all going on. I'm kind of interested to see how this thing plays out over the course of the weekend, and it seems like it's actually going to be like an annual thing now, which, like you said, props to them, man, turning this thing into, nobody wanted to see a bunch of people shot up and arrested for, raiding Area 51, but turn into an alien festival? Like, why not? It kind of sounds rad. And it sounds like they're just, like, all these Burning Man people are just taking an extra week off of whatever they do and just be like, all right, we're going to go to Vegas now in the middle of the Nevada desert, and, I don't know. It's, like, kind of cool. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, I would love to visit Burning Man. But, that's why we said that King of the Hammers is just our version of Burning Man. So maybe we should bring some aliens, invite them to King of the Hammers. I bet you Dave Cole would be super ecstatic if we had some aliens out there.
King of the Hammers looks like it could be on another planet out there. Like literally you strip away all the rigs and stuff and you just start looking like that rugged terrain. Like it literally looks like an alien landscape with all the rocks and, like it does. Like you strip away everybody away from there and just look at the terrain. Looks like it could be another planet.
Exactly. So I'm pretty excited about that. And then, because knowing that King of the Hammers is not that far away, that gets me excited. And then, I have one more round of stage rally for ARA. We're heading up to LSPR, LSPR, Lake Superior Performance Rally up in Houghton, Michigan in the UP. So I'll be driving my Jeep from there. And then straight from there, Jim, I have to drive and be in Arizona by Tuesday to start my Trail to SEMA. So Trail to SEMA prep is underway, and I know that you already saw the Jeep stuff that I did.
Yeah, I saw the Jeep stuff. You got a pinned October. That's crazy. And that's a heck of a drive from the UP to Arizona, like in a couple days' time. That's kind of wild, Tiff.
I'm excited, but I love my road trips. It always gives me a time to really sit and think and really kind of be with my own thoughts. I mean, do you remember me telling you when I was coming home from King of the Hammers that I was like in New Mexico driving, looking at cows? Because, by the way, if you've ever driven with me, I love honking at cows to see if they turn and look at me. So there's a little known fact. But I was looking at this cow in New Mexico. I'm like, I hope that cow's living his best cow life out there. Like, I hope, he's happy, he's doing his thing, but it really brings you back to simplicity and makes you really feel thankful for what you're doing. And, I'm sitting there with, which could be scary, my own thoughts at times, but I'm really thankful for that and excited to push myself for the Trail to SEMA coming up this year.
Yeah, well, and I know you were just out at STPR. I was out. I know Higgins clinched yet another championship, but I got to ask you, man, this Oliver Solberg kid, I know his dad, Petter. I've never met Oliver, but this kid, I mean, you want to talk about next level good. It just blows my mind at his age that, you know, he's doing what he's doing, Tiff.
No, exactly. Oliver, 17 years old, just an incredible driver. Also, if you don't know, Oliver does not have a legal driver's license in the U.S. So since he does not have that, his co-driver has to be able to drive the transit miles from, you know, one stage to the next stage, because those are true public roads. So they have to switch drivers. They get out and switch it. And then when they get to the stage, Oliver gets in and gets, you know, buckled in and everything. But, like, when Oliver won, he is just fast and unfast. And if you looked at the ARA website or Facebook or any of that, you'll see the video of him coming in when he won at Waste Management. And the crazy thing about him is that was him coming off of a 4-week stint of driving 3 different types of vehicles, different manufacturers. He did the Gymkhana grid, you know, the week and some before with his dad. And so these are different vehicles, different terrain, different countries, different time zones. And when I was talking to him about it, I said, Oliver, how do you do stuff like this? How do you get the energy? How do you push yourself with all the jet lag? And he's like, honestly, Tiffany, knowing that I'm going to get into the car and push myself, that gets rid of my jet lag. Knowing what I'm going to do and how I need to get it done, that's what pushes me every time. So he's got just as much stamina, just as much drive as Petter. And it's so cool to watch Petter there, because I always like to ask the dad, especially if they're a world champion in any form or even just a driver in itself. I said, Petter, what's more nerve-wracking for you, driving against your son and driving in the WRC back in the day, or being, you know, Oliver's dad and watching him from the side and seeing how he drives? He's like, honestly, Tiffany, being a dad and watching, because you want the best for your son, you want the best for your kid, and, you know, knowing that he has to push it and push it and push it, but it's pretty cool to see those two together.
Yeah, you know, you want to talk about one of the greatest of all time, Petter. Nobody's going to argue. He's got World Rallycross championships. He's got World Rally championships. I mean, not many people have taken, you know, championships in both Rallycross and WRC, you know, at the world level. That's just, you know, that kid's got just a mountain of information to be able to pick, you know, his dad's brain. And, like, I don't know, like, a kid that's doing this much at this young age, it makes you wonder when he's 21, 22, like, what's he going to be doing, Tiff? Like, you got to think the WRC is watching right now, you know, what this kid's doing. But, like, it's just, I don't know, it's crazy to me. Like, I don't know if we've ever seen a talent this fast, so young, you know. And I would love to keep him in the States for another year, but I don't know if it's going to happen. Like, I think Europe's going to be calling here real soon.
No, I would love it. And honestly, if I was going to learn how to drive and learn how to rally, I'm fortunate enough that Petter and I have a friendship, a relationship in that aspect. You know, he knows who I am, speaks to me at the races and stuff, but I would love to learn how to rally from Petter. And just his, like, expressions and the way he speaks is just so exuberant. Like, I really like that. By the way, great word of the use of the word exuberant. Did you see that, Jim?
Exuberant.
But, like, he's just such a great driver, great person. It was really, really good. And then, of course, Higgins clinching that, taking the 10th win championship. And then, you know, Craig Drew, I think that's his 8th. And, you know, it was just really cool to see that. And then you got Cam Steely and Preston Osborne from ODD Racing and Peter Fatella and stuff like that. They're great. Barry McKenna still. Those were the top 5 that we had from from STPR. And those drivers are just great. And then in the 6th spot, you had Seamus Burke and Martin Brady, who Martin, not this race, but our last race in Ojibwe, Martin, when he was driving with he was co-driving for somebody, that was the 100th different person Martin Brady has co-driven for. Yeah. And that shows you the talent right there of a co-driver and how important co-drivers are.
Yeah, Martin's rad, too. I love talking with that guy. He's does he still have the Red Bull suit? He's got like a full-on, I don't know who he co-drove with at one point, but they were a factory Red Bull guy, and he's got the raddest Red Bull suit that he uses to co-drive, and I don't know if he may have swapped it out, but I know as of like 2 years ago he was wearing it. And it was like the raddest suit. I was always jealous of it. Like I wanted that one hanging on the wall.
No, I think I would have totally noticed that. But Martin, he's such a quiet, humble, and very, very great dude to speak to. But you wouldn't expect how, not big, but like just how like well put together. He's a very good, stocky, put together gentleman. Like I would be afraid to get in a fight with Martin Brady, and he's got that Irish in him too. So I'd be definitely afraid of Martin Brady. But great co-driver overall. I really commend his skills.
Yeah, no, he's phenomenal. I've had some really good It's funny because Seamus refuses to give an interview 9 times out of 10. Actually, probably 99 out of 100 times he does. So he's always like, "Oh, just talk to Martin. Talk to Martin." And that's what he's always said. So I've got to know Martin really good when I was doing interviews, and he, like you said, he's well put together, very well spoken. Like I mean, he's been in this game a while enough to know how to do things.
No, he's great. Another kid that's coming up, I love how I say kid because I don't know why, he's probably my age, but is Ryan Booth. He got a ride from McKenna, and it's just, Ryan just is great, and he had an off, and it's not what he wanted at STPR, but to be on the McKenna Motorsports team, to be one of those new, I think he's in an R5, I think, don't quote me on that, but I think he's in that one of the new R5s that are coming out, and he's just doing really, really good. And he had a sponsorship by McDonald's, and I'm loving it on the side. And you know me, I always ask your questions because it's like, I can find out any stat, your age, where you're born, all this. I can find out any stat. I want to know the things that people don't know. And I was like, Ryan, when you go to McDonald's, like, what are you getting? What's your go-to? And you know what he told me? He loves the McRib. The McRib, out of all things. He's like, it comes out 2 months a year, Tiffany, and it's delicious. I'm like, that is disgusting.
Too funny, T-Stone. Well, we are up against the break here, but always fun catching up, Tiff. And, we're going to take a short commercial break here on the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris Razor. More after this. Anywhere is possible. It's more than just a slogan. Anywhere is possible with General Tire's wide variety of tires for whatever it is that you drive. Whether you're looking for off-road capability balanced with impressive on-road performance or ultra-high performance offering all-season traction designed with a driving enthusiast in mind, General Tire has what you need to get where you're going. General Tire, providing anywhere is possible with the Down and Dirty Radio Show since 2012.
4WP is more than a store. We're truck and Jeep experts and have been for over 50 years. From wheel and tire upgrades to full custom builds, 4WP has you covered. Whether you want to order the best parts online or shop in store, do the work yourself or get it done by a pro, all roads lead to 4WP. Do your rig right. Shop online or find your store at 4WP.com.
Like what you hear? Catch all the back episodes of the Down and Dirty Radio Show on Apple Podcast, and be sure to rate, review, and subscribe.
And we are back here on the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris Razor. Jim Beaver here. Yeah, you guys knew that, right? Well, just wrapping up hour number one, and what an hour number one. A lot of fun. Hour number two, we got Power Rankings. Alexander Rossi going to be on the show as well. A whole lot of stuff happening. Once again, if you guys haven't already, we did drop an awesome off-road edition, Full Parts off-road edition of the show here earlier this week. And it was basically our Sand Sports recap. But I had my good friend Matt Martelli on the show, and we talked a ton about what's to come in 2020, Mid-400, UTV World Championship, big preview of the Score Baja 400 that is going down this weekend in Ensenada, where the sport's headed. Some massive news from Robbie Gordon in the world of UTVs and off-road, and just a whole lot of trends coming out of Sand Sports and a whole lot more. So if you are an off-road fan and you're listening to this show, I'm telling you, you don't want to miss that podcast this week. It was really, really good stuff. And, do have to ask you guys, got a lot of people hit me up and, after episode number 400. And if you guys have any ideas for guest suggestions, I love hearing what you guys think, who you'd like to hear on the show. It's always interesting, but, you never know. I got 3 different shows that I can fit people in, whether it be the off-road edition here on the national show and as well as Project Action. You never know what the hell, we've got. So make sure and hit me up. But hour number 2, I got to tell you, man, that was one hell of an ARA rally this past weekend. We do have a Dirtfish Rally Report coming up. And, I am a massive stage rally fan. I know rally in this country has been in an interesting spot the past couple of years, both in stage rally and rally cross. I feel like everybody's kind of getting things figured out finally, and really excited to be able to dive into things with that Dirtfish Rally Report this week and talk a little bit about the results and what's to come in the world of rally in 2020 and the rest of 2019. So we will be back with hour number 2 after this here on the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris Razor. I'm Polaris rider Jim Beaver. I race trophy trucks professionally, host a Down and Dirty radio show, and also travel the country announcing motorsports events. I've seen it all, and trust me, I've done most of it, so when it comes time to relax on the weekend, nothing is better than taking time with my family in our Razor vehicles. They've got the reliability I need to just pick up and go explore the desert, dunes, or trail, and have the capability to attack even the harshest terrain. If you're looking for some of the most reliable and safest, and hands down most capable off-road machines in the world, look no further than Polaris and their award-winning lineup of Razor vehicles. Whether you want your daughter to experience off-road driving for the first time in a Razor 170 like me, take the entire family out in a Razor XP4 1000 on the weekend, or shred the desert and dunes in the all-new Razor XP 1000 Fox Edition, Polaris has you handled. Take my advice and join me and some of the best drivers in the world by driving a Polaris Razor. Check out the full Polaris Razor lineup at Polaris.com or follow them on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Polaris Razor. Your life demands a tire that provides durability, comfort, and performance, and that's what General Tire delivers for you. From the all-season grip of the Grabber UHP to the comfort and on-road manners of the Grabber HTS to the durability and off-road traction of the Grabber AT2, General has a tire that will help get you where you need to go. So let us take you on your next big adventure. Tweet us at General Tire, hashtag anywhere is possible, because with General Tire, anywhere is possible. When looking for a new wheel for your off-road vehicle, car, truck, or UTV, the choice is easy. You choose what the pros use. Rob McCachran, Keegan Kincaid, and myself, Jim Beaver, all exclusively use Vision Wheel, whether we're dominating Baja, taking the cup at Crandon, or shredding UTVs. Vision Wheel's trend-setting designs and durability will set you apart from the competition and your friends. Check out visionwheel.com or at Vision Wheel on social media to learn more.
Like what you hear? Catch all the back episodes of the Down and Dirty Radio Show on Apple Podcast, and be sure to rate, review, and subscribe.
Welcome back to the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris Razor. Hour number 2 coming at you right here from the Polaris Razor studio. And kicking off hour number 2, we have a Dirtfish Rally Report coming at you. Yes, we are getting down and dirty with the fish right now, right here on the Down and Dirty Radio Show. And, I get a lot of people hit me up wanting to go to Dirtfish, wanting a discount. You know what? We are going to hook you up. That is right. Here is your coupon code. Ready? Write it down. Down Dirty DF. Down Dirty DF. We had a previous promo code, no longer good. Down Dirty DF. That is where it's at. That's going to get you 15% off in all classes at Dirtfish Rally School. And if if you're driving in the car or something, don't have time to write that down, you can go over to our website and click on the show, and it's right there. Down Dirty DF, 15% off. Now, looking at STPR, one of my favorite rallies on the ARA calendar. It's kind of, I don't know, it's like not turn of the century. I mean, like Revolutionary War era Pennsylvania. I just love the buildings, the architecture. Everything about this rally is awesome. Not only that, but it's like brutally, brutally hard. It was an interesting rally, but big winner on the weekend. It was Oliver Solberg taking away top honors. Yes, from the future Hall of Famer David Higgins, who finished up second. Barry McKenna in his 2011 Ford Fiesta finishing up in third. My good friend Peter Fatella finishing up in fourth. And then Cameron Steele taking the 5th place honors and the 4-wheel drive or all-wheel drive, open light category win. Seamus Burke, Martin Brady, Martin Donnelly in 7th, Nathan Usher, Michael Hooper, and John Kramer are going to round out your field. And looking at open 2-wheel drive, it was Michael Hooper with the big W and the victory there on the national side of things. Looking at the East Championship, though, we're talking regionals. It was Mark Piatowski taking home the win, and Eric Kersey and Kevin Allen with top 3 there in the regional standings. So one of my favorite rallies on the calendar, a couple years back, is when Street Bike Tommy came out and actually rallied and actually beat Travis Pastrana, and he was running that old Honda Fit B-Spec car, and man, that was a ton of fun out there. That's a YouTube video you guys ought to check out on Nitro Circus's channel. Go back in the archives, find out when Street Bike Tommy went rally car racing. Good stuff, had by all. Ton of fun out there. We got to get Tommy in a rally car again very, very soon. Anyways, yes, we're going to take a short commercial break. Power Rankings is going to be up on the show when we return right here to the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris Razor. It's going to be one hell of an hour number 2. You don't want to go anywhere. You want extreme performance, reliability, and the most fun you can have on 4 wheels? The Polaris Razor brings it to you. But you don't need to take my word for it. You can take theirs.
I'm Tanner Faust, and I choose the Polaris Razor because it's the most fun you can have with a steering wheel.
What's up? I'm Ronnie Renner, and I choose Polaris Razor because it's the sickest, most reliable side-by-side on the planet.
What's up, everybody? Heavy D from Diesel Brothers. Listen, I'm on Team Razor because it's hands down the best piece of machinery on the planet.
I'm RJ Anderson, and I choose Polaris Razor because it's the most fun, most capable machine.
Action sports stars, TV personalities, and some of the best race car drivers in the world all choose Polaris Razor because it's the ultimate combination of power, suspension, agility, and fun. Find out more information on the web at PolarisRazor.com or follow at Polaris Razor on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and use the hashtag RazorLife to share your story. It's more than just a slogan. Anywhere is possible with General Tire. General Tire's Grabber X3 mud terrain tire offers aggressive styling and is engineered for durability with innovative performance features that are ready to carry you through extreme mud, dirt, and rock-covered terrain. For extreme traction that's ready for anything and rugged styling to match, look no further than the Grabber X3 from General Tire. Make your anywhere possible by visiting GeneralTire.com today. General Tire, aggressive styling with the Down and Dirty Radio Show since 2012.
4WP is more than a store. We're truck and Jeep experts and have been for over 50 years. From wheel and tire upgrades to full custom builds, 4WP has you covered. Whether you want to order the best parts online or shop in store, do the work yourself or get it done by a pro, all roads lead to 4WP. Do your rig right. Shop online or find your store at 4WP.com.
Looking to have some fun on 4 wheels? Dirtfish Rally School has you covered. Packing as much adrenaline and adventure as you can handle into high-performance all-wheel drive and rear-wheel drive Subaru rally cars is where the fun begins at Dirtfish. Just 30 minutes outside of Seattle in Snoqualmie, you'll get a chance to train up to 3 full days with some of the country's best instructors and be put through the high-octane rush of rally on mud, dirt, and tarmac. Get started today and call 425-888-7715 or visit us online at dirtfish.com and use code 911 for a 15% discount. Super ATV is the industry leader in aftermarket UTV and ATV parts and accessories. Super ATV products are designed, engineered, tested, and manufactured right here by Super ATV. Whether you're looking to upgrade your suspension, get stronger axles, or you're looking for a new winch to get you out of a tough spot, Super ATV has what you're looking for. And since we know you're in a hurry, we offer fast, free shipping to the lower 48 states on all orders. Visit superatv.com now and get your UTV or ATV dialed in. Welcome back to the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris Razor. Jim Beaver and my media director with the Down and Dirty Radio Show, Chris Leone. He is on the line. We're getting ready to do some power rankings. I know we skipped last week because I guess we had a pretty good reason. 400 episodes, Chris. That was fun. Thanks to everybody for tuning into that. But yeah, Chris, I mean, I guess this was kind of a weird week for motorsports, right? It's one of those where we had a lot of stuff, but we didn't have like over amounts. I mean, I feel like sometimes we get kind of, I don't know what to say. We get kind of greedy here because we've got like 10 different races to pick drivers. I feel like this one, there was a little bit of a gray area, but I feel like it was pretty precise on who quite possibly should be on the list.
Yeah, Jim. I mean, as you said, there were a decent amount of races going on. I mean, you had NASCAR, you had Formula Drift, you had Rally, you had IMSA. But, I mean, obviously you had the start of the NHRA playoffs, but you also didn't have IndyCar. You didn't have Formula One. It was kind of a strange mix, and,
no off-road
a lot of
at all.
The series that I think were in action. Yeah, I think a lot of the series that were in action were some of sort of the secondary ones that we might touch on. But yeah, just other than one or two, not a lot of those headline attention grabbing series that, casual fans might be following along with last week.
Yeah, made for an interesting. I don't know. I've got some people on my power rankings that are interesting. Some maybe making it for the first time, but yeah. I mean, that being said, let's get rolling here, Chris. Who do you have kicking off your power rankings there at number 5?
Well, Jim, number 5. I mean, here's the thing that's always tough about our power rankings is we're in this spot where we try to do these things based on a 7-day period, and sometimes context comes into play, but, I really do try to hold to that 7-day period. And, for that reason, I've actually got David Higgins and Craig Drew at number 5. They didn't actually take the victory at STPR, but they did lock up their 10th. They did lock up Higgins' 10th U.S. Rally Championship in the process, and huge congratulations to David, going into the Off-Road Motorsports Hall of Fame later this year, has that championship under his belt, number 10, which is not an insignificant number in any form of motorsport, quite frankly. But, you know how it goes with the power rankings. We try to do it on a week-by-week basis. So because they didn't take the victory, because Oliver Solberg was on the top step of the podium, and, shout out to Oliver. He's an honorable mention on my list, but for that reason, I've got Higgins at number 5.
Yeah, Chris, Higgins, that's an interesting thing, and I think a lot of us take for granted what he's accomplished. And just with the Off-Road Hall of Fame thing, I look back at his career stats and things like that. It's mind-blowing. I mean, I don't know. You'd be hard-pressed to find anybody in the world of rally globally that has accomplished as much as David Higgins when you start talking championships. And, a lot of us know what he's done here in the States, but I think a lot of us forget what David did in Europe and, in Britain with the British, rally series and things like that. I mean, he's a multi-time, I think, British, rally champion. Like, it's just crazy. I mean, he's gone and done some one-off WRC events and won. Like, I think he's done some stuff in China. Like, I know a lot of people go, yeah, but he didn't do it in the WRC. But if you look at his collective body of work, there's no arguing. He is literally, and I don't say this lightly, probably going to go down in history as one of the greatest rally drivers of all time. And, I find it interesting that he did, with only doing a small handful of WRC events. But I think if you look at the body of the work, like, there's no arguing it. You know what I mean? Like, you could put the greats in the same car as David Higgins, and and I don't know that they would have the exact same results he did. I mean, it's remarkable what he's done.
No, exactly, Jim. And I mean, so obviously I've been a stock car guy growing up. I've been a bit of a circle track guy, and you think of some of the guys who won sort of on local tracks. I mean, the late Dick Trickle, they have no idea how many races he won. Dick Trickle was one of the best stock car drivers ever. Was just kind of a footnote on SportsCenter because of his name in the 90s, never actually won a cup race, but was by far one of the best stock car drivers that this country has ever seen. And it's kind of the same way with David Higgins. I mean, I think if it's always hard to compare all different championships when you've got different specs of vehicles and, whatnot. But David Higgins is one of the greatest rally drivers of this generation, probably of all time. No doubt. And those 10 championships here in stateside are well-deserved and well-earned. All of his accolades elsewhere in the world are well-deserved and well-earned. And, for all of that and for locking up number 10 this weekend, there was no way I could admit him as on my list, and he came in as my number 5. So Who do you have at number 5 then, Jim?
Well, at number 5, I am going to go to IMSA, and I know I haven't gone to IMSA very much at all this year, but I got to go with Juan Pablo Montoya and Dane Cameron, who took their 3rd win of the season. They've got the points lead, took a win by 9.7 seconds over their Penske teammates there, Mr. Helio Castroneves. But it's been a great season for Montoya and Cameron. I know we haven't talked about Montoya much at all this year, and I feel like in the world of motorsport, he's almost like he's been forgotten about, especially because he didn't do the Indy 500 this year. But he is still on the top of his game and one of the best drivers in the world. And I don't know. I think from what I understand, he's really enjoying life and he's enjoying, IMSA and what he's doing there because it's giving him some time with the family. But, man, this guy, he's put together a great season, and it looks like, he and Cameron are going to take a championship with 1 round to go. So Montoya and Cameron for that big victory this weekend, I've got them at number 5 on my list.
Yeah, and Jim, I will touch on Montoya and Cameron a little later in my list. It's kind of funny. I mean, Team Penske and IMSA with Montoya and Castroneves, they've got an IndyCar team that most teams would kill for.
Right. And that's Penske, though. And I know Penske wanted to bring in younger drivers, and I think this is a funny concept. He didn't want Montoya and he didn't want Castroneves to go anywhere, so he signs him to these big IMSA contracts because he knows if he didn't, those guys would have signed with an Andretti or a Ganassi or a somebody, and you know what I mean? And they'd be destroying him on the IndyCar circuit still. I think it's funny. It's like, it's like Castroneves. He comes back and does 2 races a year there at the Indy GP and the Indy 500, and every single time he's at the top of everybody's picks to win. He's that good, but here he is doing IMSA and running this program. Like you said, anybody in the IndyCar paddock would kill to have either one of these guys on their team.
Yeah, exactly. And it's always funny to see, drivers like that, just guys who end up sports car racing, when they would still be threats in IndyCar. And yeah, like you said, I mean, I think that's absolutely the reason why Rogers got them over on the sports car side. It's not, because they're out to pasture like some of the older IndyCar drivers typically go. It's not like on talent that's where they should be. It's just that, that's the only way Rogers is going to be able to keep them under contract and keep them from threatening his guys Newgarden and Pagenaud and Power, at the top of the IndyCar charts. But for number 4, I am going to Formula Drift in Texas, and I'm going with Chelsea Denofa for his first victory in 3 years since Long Beach in 2016. And, it's been a really interesting Formula Drift season. And Chelsea, the 6th different winner in the past 6 races. We had, I believe it was Odie winning back-to-back in the first 2 races of the year, first 2 Formula Drift events of the year. And ever since then, it's like everybody has just kind of had their own turn at the top of the podium, and Chelsea being the latest driver to stand there makes my list at number 4.
Yeah, in Formula D, they've got a hell of a battle shaping up for the championship. That's something we haven't got into, and I think we'll dive into that as we get closer to this finale. But there's a really rad battle shaping up in Formula D right now. You know what? I've got my number 4, but I think we are going to. I think we're going to take a quick commercial break, and I'm going to get to my number 4 because I think it's something you and I are going to probably want to talk on, and I would hate to clip it at 30 seconds when this is something that I think is going to have some legs. So Chris and I, we're going to take a short commercial break right here on the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris RZR. We'll be back after this. When looking for a new wheel for your off-road vehicle, car, truck, or UTV, the choice is easy. You choose what the pros use. Rob McCachran, Keegan Kincaid, and myself, Jim Beaver, all exclusively use Vision Wheel, whether we're dominating Baja, taking the cup at Crandon, or shredding UTVs. Vision Wheel's trend-setting designs and durability will set you apart from the competition and your friends. Check out visionwheel.com or @VisionWheel on social media to learn more.
Life is all about sound. The sound of sports, the sound at the racetrack, and the sound of your vehicle. Don't drive around listening to this. Drive around listening to the sound of performance. Gibson Performance. Gibson Performance Exhaust is the company who can turn this into this. Remember that life is all about sound, and Gibson Exhaust is the sound of performance. Check out your next catback exhaust system, headers, muffler, or UTV exhaust at GibsonPerformance.com and get more power and more sound.
Welcome back to the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris Razor. Jim Beaver and Chris Leone here. We are, I can't even say midway through our power rankings. We got a lot to get to in the next 12, 13 minutes here. Chris just gave his number 4. Coming in at number 4 on my list, I am going to go to NHRA. And this one I've got 2 because I didn't know how to rank them one better than the other. Both of them had great weekends. Took down some really good guys in their qualifying round. Richie Crampton and Fast Jack Beckman. I've got them both, our Top Fuel and our Funny Car winners, coming in at number 4. I kind of took the easy way out, Chris, and kind of tied their hands together on this one. But honestly, I had no way to rank them. I mean, they both went through similar type brackets. To me, it was, I hate to call it a tie, but it was about as close to a tie as you can. I think both of them deserve to be on there. I don't know, the whole NHRA points thing, you look at this, and I got to tell you, like, you got Torrance, who's, now he's down the list. He had a horrible weekend. I mean, let's just face it, Steve pooped the bed this weekend, and Steve's my boy, but it just happened. But you look at Funny Car, and it's the same way. Like, I don't know, man, this whole NHRA thing, and I know Brittany Force snuck in there 2 years ago and took a championship that everybody thought Steve deserved. But I guess this is why NHRA does it, right? Because it's a crapshoot now for the next, 5 rounds we've got remaining in NHRA. What do you think, Chris?
Yeah, Jim. I mean, I've got some NHRA later in my list, and I've got to admit one of the drivers named I actually left off, and that's my bad. The more that I think about it, we talked about this week not really being a headline grabber coming in, but the more I think about it, the more we do this, it was kind of a sleeper week. We actually did have a lot of depth here. It just, it was kind of one of those, it feels like a supporting cast deals on a full weekend. It was essentially kind of what we got. But, we had a hell of a lot of surprises at Maple Grove. I mean, Jack Beckman going and taking revenge, I guess, on John Force for winning the U.S. Nationals over him in that final round. Great weekend for Richie Crampton, the Kalita folks. I think Richie Crampton jumped 4 spots in the standings. But, not to mention also Jerry Savoy going back-to-back in Pro Stock Motorcycle, and Jason Line scoring his second victory of the year. And Jason Line is somebody who's won one playoff race every single year for the past 4 or 5 years now, so somebody who's always kind of a threat there. But, it's interesting because you didn't see Steve Torrance defending that victory at Maple Grove. You didn't see Robert Hite. I mean, obviously John Force got to the final, but you didn't see Hite there. It's Pro Stock has obviously been kind of a, whole new world this year, but also Andrew Hines not being able to, kick off the playoffs after dominating the regular season with a victory on the bike. So, Maple Grove was a really interesting NHRA round. And if the rest of the playoffs are half as interesting, then I think we're in for, one hell of a postseason.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And I can tell you, looking at the winners, I wouldn't have that would have been the 4 that I had picked going into the weekend, that's for sure. But Chris, I know we'll get to NHRA in a little bit when on your power rankings. Who did you have coming in at number 3 on your list?
Number 3, Jim, I am going with Martin Truex Jr. taking the NASCAR victory in Las Vegas. I know that was a race that a lot of people were not happy about in the end. Kyle Busch had his little incident with a lapped car there, and I know a lot of other drivers were frustrated. Seemed really hard to pass out there in Vegas, but Martin Truex making the most of it. A title threat yet again, his first year with Joe Gibbs Racing, and has just kind of, I almost feel quietly notching off the wins. But I think the only reason for that is because, he's got Kyle Busch as a teammate, and Kyle Busch tends to make a lot of noise whether he wins or not. But, for that reason, Martin Truex Jr. 3rd on my list.
Yeah, I will get to Truex on mine here in a minute, but for me, I am going back to Pennsylvania. I am going back to the STPR rally, but instead of Mr. Higgins, I'm going to go with the young gun, Oliver Solberg, son of the legend Petter Solberg, taking yet another victory. Almost called it Rally America. Ooh, bad on me. ARA victory. ARA victory, and, I don't know, this kid, I mean, you want to talk about prodigies. I have no idea what the future holds for Oliver Solberg, Chris, but I know it's big. This kid to see what he's doing. Anytime you can clip like you had said, the 10-time champion David Higgins, the Hall of Famer, who is still at the peak of his career. Oliver, man, this kid is he's a machine. He does not make mistakes. To find that kind of composure in a kid this young, I mean, you and I have been around the sport for a long time, and we see a lot of fast kids, but generally they, at some point, in time, they make a mistake and they're a hothead. Oliver Solberg, Chris, you hate to say he's the total package, but this kid, man, he's got it put together.
Yeah, Jim, I don't think it's unfair to say that he's the total package. I mean, yes, he's young, but a lot of top drivers come in young and develop very quickly. Obviously, it's in his blood. He's been around the sport since he was born. His dad being a WRC and World Rallycross champion. I mean, like you said, we don't really know what the future holds for him. I'm sorry to say I don't think it's going to be in America. I think this was a one-year deal, so I hope that everybody who wanted to see Oliver Solberg rallying here in the States, stepped up and did that this year, because I don't think at that talent level, I don't think that he's going to be hanging around here on a national stage for a very long time. I think he's going to the WRC fairly quickly, and I would not be surprised to see him on a factory team, before he turns 20 even, trying to run at the highest level over there. He's been that good. He's been that consistent. He's got the right people around him. He seems to soak up information like a sponge. And, it's a lot of pressure for a kid to be in a position like the one that Oliver's been in. Not everybody gets the opportunity to, go hang out in the set of Gymkhana and drive with Ken. But, it's just he has made the most of his opportunities so far. And, I think there are a lot of kids who, if you put them in Oliver Solberg's position, would not have been able to step up to the plate the way that he has.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And I could see maybe him doing one more year in the States, but I think if that did happen, he would actually run for a championship and he wouldn't be doing these, these few one-offs, if you want to call them. I think you'd see him full-time and actually run for a championship. Because next year he'll only be, 17? He starts the year at 16, he'll be 17. I could see him possibly doing one more year just because these cars aren't slouches here in the States. I think a lot of people forget that the rules package for open class cars in the States are pretty wild. So to be honest with you, if he goes WRC, the cars might be a hair tamer than what he's driving here. So this experience isn't bad experience. I quite possibly think maybe we might see him one more year. In addition, he would still be doing some stuff in Europe, but that's wishful thinking on my part because I would love to keep Oliver stateside as long as we possibly could. But that being said, Chris, give me your number two. I guess we're down to about 4 minutes left. So give me your number two, buddy.
All right, Jim. Well, I am going to go back to Laguna Seca for IMSA, and I'm actually just going to loop in the whole Team Penske organization going 1-2. Montoya and Cameron, as you said, are, pretty much have that DPI championship locked up, and we'll see what they're able to do with the Petit Le Mans Road America. But Castro Neves and Ricky Taylor being, right on their heels, that is obviously a pretty dominant outfit over there in IMSA, I mean, we know how Roger Penske does business. We know the kind of effort and the quality of people that he brings in. I've been fortunate enough to be at that shop before and meet a couple of those people, and just, it's a top-notch organization. I will not be surprised in the slightest if one of Roger's boys, whether it's Newgarden or Pagenaud, locks up their second IndyCar championship this weekend at Laguna Seca. It's such a high quality organization, and we've seen it for decades in just about everything that they've ever touched. So, not really a surprise there, but I've got Team Penske at number 2.
Yeah, I thought about bundling them together too. So, I completely agree with that call on your part. For number 2, I'm going to go to another world championship, one that I bet Chris forgot about, but MotoGP, they were in action in San Marino. And, a lot of people wondered, if Valentino Rossi, everybody wondered, who's going to be the next big thing? Who's going to get, the torch passed to them, right? Well, I got to tell you, the guy who didn't get the torch passed to him, he just took the torch, was Marc Marquez, and he was absolutely dominating once again at San Marino, extending his points lead to 275 points. Second place only has 182 points, and keep in mind, MotoGP still has a point system that I actually like, with a victory taking 25 points down to I think 15th place gets 1 point. There's no frills, no excitement. It's literally a very cut and dry point system. And with that built up, with I think they got 5 rounds left in MotoGP, Marc Marquez definitely in the driver's seat, or rider's seat, should I say. But big win for him in San Marino at the San Marino GP. So Marc Marquez, number 2 on my list.
Yeah, you're right, Jim. I mean, that said, outside of the motocross and supercross seasons, I don't tend to pay a lot of attention to two wheels, but when you've got a championship lead like that, well deserved, and for somebody who is a very casual MotoGP follower the way I am, Marquez is one of the few names that is household enough that I know it well enough. Marquez, Rossi, and I guess Alex Rins at this point after that finish that he had a few weeks ago. But for my number one, it's interesting. I know we're going to have different number ones this week. I think that started happening a bit more recently, and that kind of makes it fun because, I go in and I just hear your number one and I'm just like, oh, geez, I didn't even think of that. But my number one, I'm going back to Maple Grove Raceway, and this is where I said, I had forgotten one of the drivers that you named as an NHRA winner. So my apologies to Jack Beckman there, but I am going with actually the whole Team Kalitta. I'm very heavy on the teams this week. Richie Crampton and Doug Kalitta. Great weekend for Team Kalitta. Richie with his 10th career victory, tying the team owner, Tawny Kalitta, and Doug Kalitta taking over that points lead with a solid weekend of his own.
Yeah, and I'm not going to, disagree with you at all. Big weekend there for the whole Team Kalitta. I am going to go back to Las Vegas, though. You were on his list, or he was on your list. But I'm going to go with Martin Truex as my number one. Yes, going to NASCAR world for me. Points lead, big W in Vegas. As you'd said, there was a lot of I don't want to call it shenanigans, but there was a lot of frustration going on. And anytime you can win a race like that, to me, it just ups the fact, the it factor a little bit more. And I think this was one of those races, to stay clean and actually walk away with a victory like Truex did. I think it was very tough in Vegas, all things considered. So Truex, number one on my list this week. And with that, we are going to take a short commercial break here on the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris Razor. More after this.
4WP is more than a store. We're truck and Jeep experts and have been for over 50 years. From wheel and tire upgrades to full custom builds, 4WP has you covered. Whether you want to order the best parts online or shop in store, do the work yourself, or get it done by a pro, all roads lead to 4WP. Do your rig right. Shop online or find your store at 4WP.com.
Looking to have some fun on four wheels? Dirtfish Rally School has you covered. Packing as much adrenaline and adventure as you can handle into high-performance all-wheel drive and rear-wheel drive Subaru rally cars is where the fun begins at Dirtfish. Just 30 minutes outside of Seattle and Snoqualmie, you'll get a chance to train up to 3 full days with some of the country's best instructors and be put through the high-octane rush of rally on mud, dirt, and tarmac. Get started today and call 425-888-7715 or visit us online at dirtfish.com and use code 911 for a 15% discount.
Thanks for tuning in to the Down and Dirty Radio Show, available live online, in syndication on networks across the U.S., and available internationally on the American Forces Network.
Welcome back to the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris Razor. I'd like to welcome my good friend Alex Rossi to the show. How is everything going, my man?
It's going great. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. I guess according to Hinch, you got rid of like 200 text messages the other day. So I guess that's always a box checked, right?
I guess I'm being productive. Yes, we can say this week has been successful.
Regardless of what happens, you got the text messages handled. I guess that's a good thing. But I figure about now, you are probably doing an epic ton of media appearances, interviews, because I'm sure everybody wants to talk about this big IndyCar finale, and you are in the hunt, man. It's got to be. I guess a pretty big stretch here for you, especially with that off time since the last race, man. You guys are probably just cranking on the media right now, right?
Yeah, yes, absolutely. I mean, the teams love to fill the time that we're not at the racetrack with talking about being at the racetrack. But at the end of the day, it's a good problem to have. I mean, I'm happy that I'm part of the conversation heading into the season finale here in a couple of weeks.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about kind of what's taken us to this point, because I know, you guys, I look at everybody, kind of there that are in the hunt, right? And, I mean, I look at your results, and I mean, I got to say, you've probably been the most consistent guy. You're right in there every single week. I mean, you up until this point, you got to feel really solid about, where everything's at and how you got here, for the exception of that one anomaly race a couple of weeks ago. But I mean, you've got to be, pretty happy with the team and how things come together. I mean, you guys have had very much the championship season that you wanted so far, regardless of what happens at this last race.
Yes, for sure. I mean, obviously, you're always going to be hypercritical of yourself in hindsight and all of that. And, I think if we looked at the areas where we were weak in 2018 that ultimately caused us to come up short in the championship, I think we improved those pretty significantly. And, I think we've done a lot of things right. Unfortunately, we've had a couple of wins get away from us for one reason or another, and then you alluded to Pocono getting taken out there in lap one, the 500-mile race obviously didn't help anything. So, there's been some downsides, but ultimately I think we've had a very good year. I just think that Joseph and the 2-car have had an exceptional year, and that's part of what this championship is. I mean, you gotta be chasing perfection to win IndyCar races, to win IndyCar championships, and so far they've done a better job than we have for whatever reason. And but that's all fine and well. I mean, that's all behind us, and we have a double points race coming up at a track that no one's been to. And if we win it, then we put ourselves in a pretty good position to steal it away from them.
Yeah. Well, and you mentioned nobody's been there, and I think that's a big thing. And I mean, for you coming in, I mean, a lot of these tracks, how are you guys approaching this? There's no data on this track. I mean, nobody kind of knows what to expect. I mean, it's been run years ago, but that data is kind of out the window at this point. You guys kind of have an inkling, I'm sure, but how are you approaching this? I mean, what are you guys doing now that prepares you for, the upcoming race? I mean, what can you do? I mean, how are you guys approaching this? Because this is kind of a wild card factor. It's kind of an interesting predicament we're in.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's good in a way because, there's no team that has like an inherent advantage, right? There's certain teams or tracks where Penske's exceptional at, or tracks where we're very good at, or whatever. No one really knows anything about here. So we have an extra day on Thursday. It's a promoter test day, so that'll help. But in terms of what we're doing to prepare, I mean, we have a lot of simulation tools to kind of come up with a general idea, and I think that we'll go with 3 very distinct setups across my teammates' cars and myself, and then we'll kind of all see, how they end up in terms of just outright pace and make a decision going into the race weekend on Friday. So it's going to be a little bit of experimenting, a little bit of educated guesswork, and the team and the driver that do the best job at that are ultimately going to be the ones that they're the quick guys. So we need to just make sure we do our homework and execute once we get out there.
Yeah. Well, and, your personal approach to this race, and a guess the team approach as well. I mean, at this point, you guys, obviously you're going for a win, right? This isn't, hey, we're going to try and salvage points. I mean, this is all for nothing, right? You're coming in gunning, Are you guys just going for broke here? Is that kind of the strategy?
Not really, because I think that we know that we have the pace most weekends to go out and win the race, right? So we're not trying to do anything desperate, and we're also, we're in a kind of a fortunate position in a way, I guess, in terms of looking at it from a glass half full standpoint, that, we're 41 points back, which means we pretty much have to win the race, right? Whereas, if you're 3 points ahead or 6 points behind or whatever, then you start like nitpicking over positions and, well, if this scenario happens and then this bonus point happens, all this stuff. Whereas for us, it's ultimately, we go in with the same approach that we have for all other 16 races. You show up at the racetrack with the goal to put it on pole and to go win the race. And really, that's all that we're trying to do in Laguna. So in a way, not a lot changes for us. Whereas Joseph has to, go into it with like, oh, I'm trying to be fast, but I can't like take a risk. I can't make a mistake. I can't do any of this because then I'll give it away type of thing. So in a way, we have it a little bit easier than he does, I think.
Yeah, you guys just go out and win, right, and let the cards fall where they may behind you?
Exactly.
Yeah. So, with all this being said, I know this has been kind of a crazy season. You've been in this points battle, and in between all this, I know how big of a relief is it for you as a driver, to get this, this future contract, settled. And obviously you're back with Andretti. I think everybody is excited about that. I think that, that we all know that's where you wanted to be. I mean, how big is that for you as a driver to know, all right, I don't have to worry about that now. It's in the back of my mind. It's not even in the back of my mind. We don't have to worry about it. I can just concentrate now and for the foreseeable future, just about driving race cars.
Honestly, man, I mean, it didn't really bother me. I'm really pleased to be able to continue the relationship with Andretti Autosport and Honda, and we couldn't have done it without Napa and AutoNation stepping up. So, everyone's plan A kind of came together, which is fantastic. But I made a huge effort, not only with myself, but with everyone on my car to ignore the noise and ignore everything that was going on surrounding our silly season and just focusing on each race weekend and trying to, maximize what our potential was. And so we were really unaffected. When the news came, it was great, happy to have you, and kind of getting back to work type thing. So it's really good from a continuity standpoint. But at the end of the day, nothing really changed for us.
Yeah. Well, and with everything we've learned this season and last season, and obviously, you guys Andretti's been a front running team for a long time, and last couple of seasons, I mean, you've emerged as one of the, top guys to beat. What have you learned the last couple of seasons, you know what I mean, that really we can carry into next season? Because, at this point, what it takes to win a championship. You've been so close, you know what I mean? We could see you take a championship here, this coming race, but what have we learned, like, moving forward? I mean, just because IndyCar, it's so competitive, Alex. I mean, it's one of those weird motorsports where on any given weekend, there's 10 guys that can win. And, a lot of motorsports, that might be 3 or 4, but IndyCar, I mean, it's so uber competitive right now.
Yeah, no, it's crazy competitive, which is awesome for the product and the show, and everything that we're trying to do to promote the series to an expanding audience. But I don't think it's one thing that you're supposed to change. I mean, I think it's all the detail work, it's all of the off-season preparation and the choosing of resources and time to focus on certain areas of weakness from the previous year, and just managing all of the different possibilities you have, and choosing the best one that's going to benefit you the most. So it's not that we have to focus on ovals or road courses or street courses or whatever. Like, we have to focus on it all and just really make sure that the gains we're making are significant and productive, efficient.
Yeah. Well, looking forward, I got to ask you, just because I'm the off-road guy in the room here. But I know last year you had a little bit of fun in Baja. I mean, I've heard some rumors that it got its hooks in you. Is there a chance we possibly see you back in Baja in the next year or so?
I can't say a whole lot, but yes, there's definitely a chance.
Yeah, I won't say what I know either, but I had to put it out there. But, I got to ask, though, with all this IndyCar stuff, have you been salivating to get back into an off-road truck a bit?
Oh, yeah, man. I loved every moment of that experience last year, and I was very grateful to Honda and Proctor Racing Group for allowing me to be a part of the team, and fell in love with off-road racing and the Baja 1000 and everything that goes along with it. So definitely hope to have the opportunity to get back there soon.
Yeah. Well, and, one final question, talking about this finale and double points on the line. I mean, you as a driver, this is one of the most iconic tracks. I mean, I would say there's a handful of them in the United States, but, people know this track, and some of the features that it's got. I mean, is there a little bit of excitement on your part to go and race there? I mean, what are you feeling going into this new track? And obviously, everybody's got the same level playing field, but there's a little bit of excitement, just because it is something new?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think the excitement more comes from, like, this was the place where I was introduced to racing as like a 3-year-old. I mean, it's where my dad took me growing up, and it's pretty cool to come back there 20 years plus later and potentially win a championship. But regardless, even if we don't, like, the story in a way has kind of come full circle, and to be able to return there and had it be a race in Northern California, 3-ish hours from where I grew up is very special. And, excited to get back out there and kind of just be on track and be, actually doing the thing that I fell in love with as a little kid.
Yeah. Well, Alex, I appreciate the time. I know you've got a lot of media engagements, today and, the upcoming week. But, good luck out there at the finale. I know we will be tuned in and rooting for you, my friend. And, hopefully we do see you come November down in Baja.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Man, you got to love anytime you can get an Indy 500 winner on your show. And Alexander Rossi, man, I got to tell you, this guy has been he's been a big part of our show the past 3 years. Countless times we've had him on air, always supporting us, and our good friends at Andretti Autosport. You got to love it. And I know we've got an amazing 4-way shootout for the IndyCar title coming this weekend at Monterey. Alexander Rossi, a part of that equation, Simon Pagenaud, Joseph Newgarden, and Scott Dixon. And I know I was looking, they do that thing where, they break it down how each driver can actually win. And, Scott Dixon, we'll be honest with you, he's like an outlier. Like, it's going to take something massive happening for him to have a shot at this thing. Like, literally everybody breaking in the first lap, and then he wins or something. But for Alex Rossi and Simon Pagenaud, they have a real shot at this. Now, I'm not going to say it's easy, but they need to win. And I think it's something like Newgarden finishes 6th or worse, which is totally doable. And then when you add in, they've got qualifying points and all this other stuff, like there's a real opportunity for Rossi and Pagenaud to sneak in and take this title. I don't want to say sneak in because they've been there all year. Newgarden knows they're there, but that's what I think is really interesting about IndyCar. You got NASCAR, who has created this crazy system of playoffs and stage racing, and they've tried to draw interest, like artificially create drama in their series. Meanwhile, you've got IndyCar, who has gone with old tried and true fashion of just running the season all the way to the end, and the guy with the most points wins. And granted, the finale is a double points race. I see no problem with that. But, IndyCar has done it the right way. They let their racing speak for themselves. They're not artificially creating drama, and it's worked for them. And I think that's why TV ratings are going up. It's because there's no gimmicks. It is just true, good, real racing, and I think that's what we're going to see this weekend. I know I will absolutely be glued to my TV for this finale, and I think you guys will too, and I can't wait to watch what unfolds there at Monterey. I mean, IndyCar's down the corkscrew? Yes, count me in. All right, we're going to take a short break. We're going to wrap things up when we return here to the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris RZR. Looking to have some fun on 4 wheels? Dirtfish Rally School has you covered. Packing as much adrenaline and adventure as you can handle into high-performance all-wheel drive and rear-wheel drive Subaru rally cars is where the fun begins at Dirtfish. Just 30 minutes outside of Seattle and Snoqualmie, you'll get a chance to train up to 3 full days with some of the country's best instructors and be put through the high-octane rush of rally on mud, dirt, and tarmac. Get started today and call 425-888-7715 or visit us online at dirtfish.com and use code 911 for a 15% discount.
Life is all about sound, the sound of sports, the sound at the racetrack, and the sound of your vehicle. Don't drive around listening to this. Drive around listening to the sound of performance. Gibson Performance. Gibson Performance Exhaust is the company who can turn this into this. Remember that life is all about sound, and Gibson Exhaust is the sound of performance. Check out your next catback exhaust system, headers, muffler, or UTV exhaust at GibsonPerformance.com and get more power and more sound.
Thanks for tuning in to the Down and Dirty Radio Show, available live online, in syndication on networks across the U.S., and available internationally on the American Forces Network.
Bam! That is it. Another Down and Dirty Radio Show powered by Polaris Razor. Episode number 401 is officially in the books as of in about 2 minutes. But yeah, thank you guys for continuing to support the show. If you haven't already, tune into that episode number 400 with Pastrana and Rutledge Wood. You guys won't be disappointed. Follow me at Jim Beaver 15 on social media. And man, I would love to live tweet with you guys during this IndyCar finale this weekend. You know, I'll be locked and loaded. Expect maybe some winners, some IndyCar winners. Obviously, maybe some NHRA winners and probably some score winners on the show next week. Also got the off-road edition dropping. Make sure and hit that subscribe button over there on iTunes. Really helps us out. And support all of our amazing partners, Polaris Razor, General Tire, 4-Wheel Parts, My Medic. Use the coupon code Jim Beaver. It'll get you 15% off. Vision Wheel, Gibson Exhaust, Dirtfish Rally School. Remember, it is Down Dirty DF. That's going to get you 15% off at the Fish on any and all classes. And are also our good friends there at Super ATV. Some of the best damn UTV products on the planet right there at Super ATV. All right, thank you guys once again. I am Jim Beaver at Jim Beaver 15, and we will see you next week with some score winners, some IndyCar winners, a whole lot of talk, and a whole lot more. Would love to hear from you. Please give me your feedback on the show, and let me know who you would like to hear on air with me right here in the Down and Dirty Radio Show. Here's to, I guess, another 400 shows right here on the Down and Dirty Radio Show, powered by Polaris Razor. For you in Baja, have a safe weekend, and we'll see you next week.